Today, I'm so excited to be interviewing somebody who shared with me that she has been watching this YouTube channel for a really long time. And because of this YouTube channel, she actually successfully transitioned into a non academic career as a medical writer. I'm so excited that, all this has come full circle. And I just want to pause and say thank you. Thank you so much to all of you that watch this channel. Thank you so much for when you get a job and you send me a message. Thank you. I know I may never meet some of you in person, but do know that I appreciate every single minute that you spend watching this channel. So I don't want to waste time. Let's jump right into the interview. Hi, Guadalupe, and thank you for being on the Bold PhD today. I'm so excited to have you because we've been interacting on LinkedIn quite a bit, and I'm excited to learn about your story today. So tell us a little bit about your educational background.
Sure. I'm very happy. I'm very happy to share my experience. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I have a PhD in neuropharmacology. I was doing research for more than 10 years, and I did my PhD in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went for a postdoc also in Mexico. And then I got a postdoc at University of Pittsburgh here in the United States. And most of my career have been studying from neuropharmacology, electrophysiology, and later on molecular biology. So I have like kind of a very diverse career in the research field.
Awesome. So now what do you do? What do you do now?
Now I'm a science writer. It's been more than a year, a little bit more than a year that I have this shift in my career, and I went from academia to the industry, and I got this amazing job as a science writer. So I work for a biotechnology company, and I work with them creating some content for their website, some white papers, and some other things they need for their products.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about that, right? So a lot of the people that watch the Bold PhD, because I'm a science writer, I have some videos on that. And people are very, very interested in becoming a science writer. Now, before we jumped on, you had mentioned the fact that my channel helped you as you were making that transition. How did it help? Let's talk about that, how it helped, and then after that, you can talk about the steps that you took to make that transition from academia into science writing, because it's not always so clear cut. There's no straight path to it. And so when I was doing, I was always curious to hear other people's stories. So yeah,
Sure.
so share both of those things with us.
Yes. As I have said before, I'm very grateful because I didn't know where to start. I knew I wanted to leave academia, but we have this idea that we just know how to do research and nothing else. So I was like, where do I start, right? So I remember that the first things I did was like try to look for some courses in my university. Like I took teaching lessons, I took science communication lessons, but I didn't really know what I could do and what I wanted to do. So one of the things that really helped me was when one of your videos talk about the skills we have as PhDs and how can we make them work for some other jobs outside academia. So one thing that was very helpful was to think about, okay, why I have been doing good on research that can help me outside academia. And I realized that I have always wanted to write, because one of the things that really make me feel happy on research was writing my papers, like sitting down and come with ideas and share that knowledge that I got by doing my experiments and publishing. All that process was really helpful for me, like made me feel really happy. So I was like, okay, I found now that I have these skills and that I like to write. And then the next step was like, wait, is there something that I can do outside like this? Like I didn't even know that I could make a living as a science writer. So that was the next step. Like, is there science writers outside? Like, is there someone that can like share their experience and tell me what did she or he did to jump outside of academia? And I remember that I didn't know how to take those skills and put them on paper and say, I'm good at this, I'm good at that, and I have written this and that, and I can do this job. And I remember, because I watched a ton of videos and I listened a ton of your podcasts, and but the three that I remember is the one about skills, how to take your skills from your research and present them to the industry. The other one was, how to make that jump outside of academia. But the other very important one that changed my life was personal branding. I didn't have a webpage. I didn't had a personal presence on the web. And that was very important. And I didn't know that could like boost your career. And it is, because now the way you present outside is not only by paper. Like, people go to your LinkedIn profile, people go to your webpage, people go to your social media. And I was also very lucky that during my 3 years at the University of Pittsburgh at postdoc, I had like the time to work slowly on that. So I honestly was very lucky, because I was listening to your podcast and your videos, and I was like, okay, I need personal branding. So I'm going to go and I'm going to take my time and build my webpage. And at the beginning, that can be overwhelming, because you don't know where to start. You don't know what to put in there. You need also to figure out what kind of image you want outside. Because in my case, once I decided to be a science writer, that I wanted to be a science writer, then I started to think how to create my webpage. Some people could go and see what I have done, what I have written, or things like that. And I actually, when I got the job I have now, one of the things that they told me was like, it was very good to see your work on your webpage.
Let me pause you right there. You're saying so many good things I'm always harping on. And I want to, I want to re-emphasize that. They literally said, we love that you have work out there. And I keep on telling people this, that you can't assume that people, you see, a lot of us as academics, we've lived in the bubble for so long, and we think our brilliance is known by all, right? Like, oh, I've published these papers, they should figure it out, right? But no, you have to, it's almost like you have to show people, here I am, I'm good, you should hire me, right? And sometimes when you tell people that, people say, oh, but that sounds like, oh, I'm being too sleazy or too salesy or I'm being too self-promotional. And I keep on telling myself, but if you don't promote yourself, who is going to promote you?
Exactly.
If you don't promote yourself, nobody is going to do it for you, and nobody has the time to sit down and deduce from the work that you've done, that has been published somewhere, that your work is excellent. And so you have to curate that, and you have to create that story in people's minds, that I am this person and I have this experience and that experience, and this is why your company wants me.
Exactly.
So I love it. Anyway, continue.
Exactly. And you raised a very, very good point, because one of the things that sometimes we learn in academia is that we rely on what our PIs are saying about us. So we don't need to do that job, right? Because as you said, our publications speak for us, our PI speak for us, and that doesn't work on academia, on industry. It's not like that. It's a totally different world, and that might be overwhelming at the beginning, because you're so used to a culture that is totally different, and going out of the bubble is shocking at the beginning. It's like, I don't know how to do this. And it sometimes is demoralizing because you feel that you have zero experience, but you don't. And you actually have a lot of skills, but finding like having someone to tell you, hey, you have these skills, just look at them in a different way, it's very helpful.
Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to do it, because when I was making that move, right, it didn't occur to me either, because usually when you're entering into a PhD program, it's like, oh, I'm going to become a researcher, I'm going to become a
Yes.
teacher, I'm going to
Yes.
become a professor, right? And then there, oh, I remember one day somebody messaging me after I had made a post on LinkedIn, and this person had been out of their PhD for years, and the question they asked me was, you said there are careers outside of academia. Where do I go to look for those? And I was shocked, right? I don't know. I was at the time, now I'm not so shocked, but at the time I was like so taken aback by the question, because I'm like, this person has gone through their whole PhD thinking that they can do nothing else
Exactly.
except become a researcher or a teacher. And at the time, they were telling me that they were struggling to find a permanent academic position, and they were struggling financially. And they didn't
Yes.
know, they thought that that was all they could do. So they didn't know. And so she had, it was a woman. So she had sent me this this message and was like, can you show me, like, I don't know anything, you know. And maybe you're watching this and you don't know anything about stepping outside of academia. And I want to say that, Guadalupe is an example, I'm an example. There are lots of us who are out here, and actually a majority of us, because right now, according to statistics, only about 20% or so of graduating PhDs actually will end up in a tenured faculty position. So
Yeah.
20%. So the chances of you making that tenured professor position, the odds are pretty high. I'm not saying you can't do it, but the odds are pretty high, right? And so it's okay to begin looking outside of academia. Please go ahead, Guadalupe.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And let's add that there is this thinking in the back that you are, when you leave your research, when you leave academia, there's judgment, right? Because you're going for the money, you are going, but let's be honest, academia is hard. Academia wants you 24/7,
Yep.
is not well paid, and it keeps you in a bubble, and sometimes it's hard because you have so much things to do and to give, and I'm sure many people won't like this, but I think most of PhDs live thinking that they are not good for anything else, and their skills are being undervalued.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And not just not good for anything else, but another thing I run into is that people think in order to jump out of academia, they have to learn a whole new skill set, right?
Exactly.
Th-
Right.
that's the biggest thing. I remember getting that question also once. They were like, well, if I jump out of academia, then I'm going to have to learn a whole new set of skills in order to find a job. And I'm like, no, you
No.
actually have a lot of, you've learned, like you've been in school, you've literally been in school for more than a decade, higher education, right? You went to 4 years of college. Your PhD was likely 5 to 6 years. You've been in higher education. If you did a master's degree, let's tag that on, that's even more.
Yes.
So you've been in higher education for more than a decade. You have a lot to offer. You have so much to offer. You just have to package it differently. So maybe that let's chat. I feel this is a good segue into the next question I was going to ask. How did you, Guadalupe, how did you package your skills, right? Because you said you loved writing in your postdoc and all that. You realized, oh, is this something I can do? And then you found out that there was science writing. So how did you package those skills from academia into a non-academic job?
Yeah, I think I literally went through a blank page, and I compare my job in academia and my job in industry. And I this is a very excellent exercise, I think. I went to all the job offers I wanted, not the job offers I could I could apply to, the job offers I wanted. And I checked at what they were asking, and I look at my academic CV, and I check, I had the skills, or how can I um how can I fit this profile? Which of
Translate it.
these,
Yeah.
yeah, how can I translate which of these skills I have on my academic CV can perfectly fit on this other job offer? Because sometimes it's just about that. It's just about believing also in yourself, that you can actually do the job, that you can actually be a good writer or a good illustrator. I've seen recently a lot of people from science that go to illustration. And for them it's also a little bit hard, because they don't feel like they have much, like they don't have much experience. But as you said, you have the knowledge, and you have a lot more set of skills that can boost your career. Not only the illustration stuff, not only the writing stuff, but you have another vision of science that can help you to
Yes.
boost that role, to make it better.
Yes.
So yeah, that was an excellent exercise that I did many times. I check on
Wow.
different profiles, and I was like, I can do this job. I have these skills. Or how can what I did during my career that can translate to these skills that they are asking me to. Like, just because sometimes it's just about going through your career and look for what you have done. Like, oh yeah, I once during 2 years I was managing a group of students, and I had to manage all the protocols they had to do. I have to tell them what to do. I have to organize them in teams. I have to check the experiments. I have to go through the results. I had to present the results to my boss. And that is team management. And sometimes a PhD, these don't even know that they actually did it.
Yeah,
Or
we actually
that they
did
are,
it.
yes,
Exactly. We actually did all that. And it's so interesting because also, and not just in your PhD, right? Like you can take anything from your whole life experience also,
yes,
right?
that's
Because
right.
I remember when I was applying for a particular role, and this role it was going to be in academia, but not in the classroom. It was going to be an administrative sort of job. And one of the things in there was, have you worked with student populations before? And I remember even in graduate school, but in undergrad, I had been over here in the US. It's called a resident assistant. So you are a student leader on a floor, and you help the residents with their needs. With the students living on campus housing. And I had been a resident assistant for about 3 years of my college experience. So I said, yes, I've worked with college students before. I was a resident assistant, and it was in that moment that I realized, listen, sometimes we just simply forget, but sometimes we just downplay so much of the experience that
Exactly.
we have, and
Yes.
say, oh, well, surely, this is an important job. This is not important, but all of these pieces of your experience can come together to really give you a profession that you will be amazed is out there for you. So I love that. I love that you are mentioning that. So
Yes.
for somebody that is wanting to enter science writing, Guadalupe, what advice would you give them? Because I know there's so many people that watch this channel that want to do that. What advice would you give them as they're trying to enter? Like, you began with your personal branding. I love that you shared that story. Did you have any samples of your writing? Did you have what did you put in place to show these people, okay, I can write, and I can write for your biotech company?
Yes, that's actually something a very good story, because I, as I said before, I was always like interested in writing. So during the whole time, I've been writing here and there, like in a blog post for some, I don't know, for some course, or I participated in some science communication. So what I did was gathered all that small pieces of writing that I had along through all my career, and I put them together in a place so people could see it. And something that I also did is once I knew I wanted to be a science writer, I started to write. Like whatever I came to my mind. I remember that I wrote a piece about cardiovascular neurons, like something that I could have on my webpage, like something that people could read, because people need to know what are you capable of doing. And I want to share this. I remember that in one of my interviews, the they were looking for someone that had some knowledge of SEO and web pages and things like that. And what actually helped me in that interview is that I created my webpage. So like simple things that I never knew that they could help me. Well, that helped me. I was like, oh yeah, I have the knowledge because I created my webpage. I did all the thing. I
Wow.
have like a very basic overview of what is that and how it works. And I can go further. I can learn because I know how that works. And
Yeah.
that's also another thing, that if you go with this mindset that I can learn whatever is needed to fill that job, to fill that position, that's
Mhm.
also good.
Yes, yes, and this is so. I love this conversation so much because a website is not too expensive to invest in. There's so many choices there are out there these days. I prefer a WordPress website, but there's several other tools out there that you can quickly use to create your own website. And like you said, you had created this website. Creating the website alone was helpful, and then and this also has happened to me before, like, by the way. It's like having a website and then having my writing curated on a page, like you said. Perfect, excellent. So I highly,
Yes.
these are two things I always highly recommend to up and coming science writers. And sometimes people are afraid because they're like, oh my goodness, I have to invest. No, no, a website is not as expensive as you may think it is.
No. Yeah,
And
that's
you can,
right.
yeah, and you can put one up, if even if you try to do it in an hour a day. You can put one up by a week's time. You could have like a really nice website together, you know. So thank you for sharing that. This has been such a great conversation. We're coming
Thank
up
you.
to the end of the time, but this is such a great conversation. So Guadalupe, if people want to reach out to you and chat with you about your career path and how they can get into scientific writing in biotech, where will they find you?
Yeah, the easiest way is through LinkedIn. I'm always there. Yeah, you can look by my name and you will find me. And also, if you want to go to my webpage, www.gmanrique.com, you can find all my social media there and all my work. It's there, so you can easily reach me out too.
Yes, I will put that information in the description of this video and also on the screen so that people can find you. Thank you so much, Guadalupe. This was such a
Thank
great
you. It was such a
conversation.
pleasure to meet you. I'm so excited. I
Yes.
was so excited.